right now, you should be looking at where it says day 2 on the Surrealism Week 12 sheet. Did everyone see where to get that? Okay. So make sure you have that open. Grading the cubism, I was surprised how many people just left those things blank. Okay, this is easy points for you. So number 1, it says, who is most well known as a surrealist artist? Does anybody have any guesses before I show you? You can unmute or write it in chat. Who's most well known for surrealism? First, we're going to watch this quick video. Might give you a clue. Let me pause that for a second. What you are actually going to see in this video is we are going into a Dali painting, okay? The first time that I saw this was in St. Petersburg, Florida. St. Petersburg, Florida is the only other place that there's a Dali dedicated, Dali only museum in the world, except for his hometown, okay, which is in Spain. And the reason why there is a Dali dedicated museum in St. Petersburg, Florida is because there were some really rich people that lived there, that this couple that really liked his work and became friends with him, and so he worked with them to set up this museum. So when I saw this, it was one of those VR experiences where like we had the headphones and the goggles on, and so the creepy voice that you're going to hear is actually Dali. But imagine hearing that like in your head, with random people standing in line behind you waiting to do this. We're going to go into a painting. Not everything that you see in it was in the original painting. Some of it has been put in there because it's a reoccurring theme in a lot of his artwork. Okay. Every time I look at this, it's a little different in the VR experience. You could control it even more. So at one point, the elephants, the creepy spider elephants that you'll see, actually like walked right over my head. It was so cool. But the link is on this presentation, and that presentation link is at the top of your page, so you can go to this later if you choose to. So that's what the original painting looks like, is about that scene there. Be a little girl jump roping, but I can't find her. Okay, what you're looking at right now then is this is a sculpture that Dali made. It's a telephone. But the part that you pick up is a lobster. Remember, surrealism is dreamlike. There are those creepy spider elephants. They are not originally in this painting, but they appear in a lot of his work. There's the jump roper. She appears a lot in his work too. She's referencing two things, one being his sister, and one when the rope is up, all the way up in the air, she looks like the church bell across from where he grew up. On this version, instead of going up, like the elephants going over us, we kind of fly up with them. So whoever created this animation had to figure out what they'd imagine what the back of these figures, these building figures, would look like. Okay, before we go in here, there's another thing you're going to see in there. It says Alice Cooper. He's a heavy metal singer. And Dolly, on multiple occasions, said that he and Alice Cooper were the two best artists ever in the world. Okay, so you're going to hear some of Alice Cooper's work in just a minute. And there's a floating Alice Cooper, of course. Okay, so looking back, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's telling me my speaker's not working, but I don't know why it wouldn't be. So looking back at your, except that my computer's falling apart. That's the fan now making noise. Looking back at your vocabulary from the other day. So remember, everything we're looking at this week and last week is surreal, so dreamlike. Looking at juxtaposition, dislocation, transformation. What's a good example? And then why is that your example for this video? So remember, juxtaposition was putting two things side by side that don't normally go together. Dislocation is putting things where they shouldn't be. Transformation is turning something familiar into something unusual or disturbing. What's dislocated in this? What's where it shouldn't be? You can unmute or type it in chat. What's dislocated? What's where it shouldn't be? Yeah, there's trees in the desert. It's almost like an oasis place. What else? What's dislocated? Okay, maybe we'll just move on. In the presentation, then this link is on the top of your week 12 surrealism sheet. Then there's the link for that video. You guys should play around with it later. It's pretty cool animation. So for that first question there, Dolly is the person that if you asked any other teacher to name a surrealist artist, they could probably come up with Dolly's name. Even probably your parents could if you asked them. This painting here is called Persistence of Memory. Okay, so you've probably seen his work at the very least around the holidays, because there's often a calendar kiosk that has a ton of his work that you can buy. So it'd be like in a calendar or in a mouse pad or in, you know, just all kinds of like blankets. You can get all kinds of stuff with his work on it. He's got a lot of these melting clock images. Okay, so surrealism started in the 30s and 40s, and they started the same. It started the same time as as scientists started analyzing dreams. Okay, so the scientists were starting to analyze and study dreams, and the artist said, "We can show what that looks like." Okay, so specifically in this painting, it's called Persistence of Memory. Okay, so he's got these melting clocks. Okay, and the melting clocks are dealing with the fact that time is not stable. All right, time is different depending on what you're doing at that point, or depending on what you know, who you're with, how much fun you're having, things like that. So that's why they're melty, and that shifts the space in between the numbers here too. It pulls it out so it lasts longer. Okay, so instead of having every class period be the same on a clock like this, some of them would last longer. Okay, this specific painting is called Persistence of Memory, so it's also dealing with not only time but memory. So if you look at this figure, this thing here, this is actually a face. Okay, it's a stretched, soft, squishy face that is like then pulled out. Okay, so you have to look at it upside down. It's kind of like this. So here's the eyebrow. Remember, it's just stretched out, so it's not all in the same spot it's supposed to be. These are some eyelashes. The eyelid is closed. Okay, this is a tongue or a booger coming out of the nose. Here's a chin. Okay, and then the neck. And remember, it's stretched and pulled out. Okay, it's soft and squishy. I've seen this painting in real life. I'm going to actually show you how big it is here in just a second. It's about the size of a piece of printer paper. Okay. When I first saw this, I just couldn't believe it, because it's also one of the most famous paintings in the world, and it's seriously this big. Okay. So if I go back to this painting, in real life, when you see it, you can see that these are ants. They're hyper realistic ants. They really look like ants, absolutely like ants are walking on this pocket watch. Same thing here. This is a fly. It's hyper realistic. It has all of the little like veins and things in the wings, and all of the little beady eyes, and it's just super creepy. But it is a fly that is hyper realistic on a piece of, or on a painting that's no bigger than this piece of paper. So that means the fly itself is really small too. So he made this crazy detailed fly and painted it very small. So looking at your vocab, everything we're doing is surreal. So give me is juxtaposition, dislocation, transformation, an example of why you think it best shows one of those words. You're going to have to do this on your project too. So we're practicing that right now. So juxtaposition, remember, is putting two things or images side by side that don't go together. What are two things that don't go together in this painting? Yeah, the cloud and the clock and the face don't go together. Yep. So is there anything else that yep, Tori, clocks and what? Is there anything else that's juxtaposed that doesn't go together? Yeah, and that's the face, the thing that's lying on the ground. What about dislocation? What's where it shouldn't be? Dislocation. Yeah, the stretched out squishy face shouldn't be on the desert floor. That's where it shouldn't be. Okay, what about transformation? What's transformed into something unusual or disturbing? Yeah, the clock is all melty, so that's transformed. Okay, and we could actually use Natlin's idea of the face. She said that was dislocated, but it's also transformed. It's transformed into something squishy and pliable that you can pull apart, like bubble gum. Okay, so that's transformed. Yeah, it is creepy. So the next painting, two paintings we're going to look at. The first one is soft self-portrait with a rasher of grilled bacon. Okay. And remember, there's two reasons to title something. One is for identification, which is, I think, what Dolly's doing here. Okay, so soft self-portrait. Yeah, it's a squishy, soft self-portrait. This is kind of what he looks like. He has super dark black, brown eyes, which made like then the cavernous, you know, the fact that your eyes are sunken in anyway made that look even darker. So it made him look like he has big, like deep set eyes. He really had this handlebar mustache. He's kind of like surreal himself in the way he dresses and the way he carries himself. His self-portrait is being held up by these sticks because it's melty, squishy, soft. So he said soft self-portrait. And then he wanted to make sure we saw the rasher, the piece of bacon, okay, which is right here. Who knows why? Okay. What's dislocated in this painting? What's where it shouldn't be in the soft self-portrait one? Oh yeah, Tori, we're going to get to that one in just a minute. That's this one over here you're talking about. But I'll talk to you first. What about the soft self-portrait with the bacon? What's dislocated? Yeah, the face is dislocated. It's just hanging out on its own. It's not attached to a body or anything. What's transformed? What's where turned into something unusual or disturbing? Yeah, the face. It's squishy soft. It's melting and falling apart. What's juxtaposed? What are two things that don't go together? Oh yeah, Elena, the pins in the face, that's dislocated too. But that's also juxtaposed. These sticks don't belong holding the face up. Yep, and the book and the face don't go together either. Or the bacon in the face. Okay. Whoops. This painting over here is called Apparition of a Face in a Fruit Bowl. So on the surface, it looks like he just said this out of, like titled it, or identification. Okay, I think the face and the fruit bowl are the most obvious things, but there's way more things that are hiding in this. Okay, so can everyone see the face and the fruit bowl on this one over here? So here's the face. There's the forehead, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the chin. Okay, here's the fruit bowl. It's a bowl with like pears in it. Okay. There's also other things in this though, but he wanted to draw our attention to the face and the fruit bowl, which again, I think are the easiest things to see. The face is of course sitting on a beach with cliffs behind it. Okay. The beach is also a tablecloth. See the ridges on the tablecloth that you do if you like push yourself out from the table to get up and you move the tablecloth. There's a napkin and a squishy fork that's been stretched out. Okay. Now these cliffs behind it, behind the fruit bowl, I had been showing this for quite a few years, and a student said, well, do you see the dog? Does anyone see the dog? Top right, yep. Top right is where the head is. Good job, Antoine. Okay, so the head is right here. So that's the black tip of its nose, okay? The lighter color muzzle. Darker head. This is a hole in the cliff face, but it's also the eye for the dog. There's an ear. It's got a white neck here. This is a bridge. That's the collar on the dog. Then most of its body is hidden behind the bowl of fruit. And then there's a butt here with a little stub tail. Okay. So I had then been saying for a lot of years that I'm sure there's other things hidden in here that we just can't see, but that I had never seen this painting. Like you have all this space here. So first of all, we're looking at first of all, we're looking at a bad photograph. Right now, you're all looking at it on a computer screen. It's even worse if we were looking at it on the projector at school, okay? 2 years ago, we happened upon, in a museum, I got to see this painting, okay? I get into trouble at museums a lot, and mainly it's because they think I'm getting too close to the work because I want to see every detail of it. There happened to be a Frida Kahlo exhibit and a Frida and Diego exhibit at the same museum that this Surrealism exhibit was at. So I kept going back and forth between the Frida work and this Dali piece. And finally, the guard that was in the room for this told me just to sit down. He was like, just sit down, enjoy it, take it all in, it's fine. So he didn't yell at me, which is good. So when he did say that, though, I finally took this video. So you're going to get to see a lot of stuff hiding in this painting that we can't see. So this is the actual work in the video that I took. See, there's a miniature one up there. Mm-hmm. So there's all kinds of figures that we couldn't see in that other image of this painting. The bowl, when you're closer up, doesn't even have like an end to it. There's a face here. Did you guys see that? There's some horses. There's another miniature face and fruit bowl. There's a bunch of skeletons, a bunch of people. Just all kinds of crazy stuff hidden in here. And the way that he paints is also aggravating to me because he gives no clues about how he made it. As a painter, I like to look at paintings and try to figure out how they made it. But Dali gives zero information. It's, for the most part, even difficult to tell, like, did he paint down a background over this whole thing and then start painting things on top? Or is that dog's butt and the water behind it up next to each other like this? Okay, or is one on top of the other? You usually can't tell with Dali's work. And when it faded in close and you could see like up in here, and even here too, it did it for me a little bit, where it kind of, you lose the fact that it's two things at once. That's something he's doing with the way that it's painted, the glazing, the thin layers of paint that he's got, where it kind of, one thing disappears and the other thing comes out. Pretty amazing. Anyway, I need to go back to the presentation. So what's juxtaposed in this painting? What's two things that don't go together? Tori, what did you say earlier? Yeah, Natlin, the pears in the face. The wine glass, yeah, it looks like a wine glass having a face at the bottom. Yeah, yeah. So those two things are juxtaposed. They don't go together. And Natlin's right too, the pears in the face. We don't all have pears coming out of our heads. That would be a cool Halloween costume to dress up as this. Yeah, the rope and the rag. So the rope is actually a fork, and then a napkin sitting on top of the tablecloth. But they don't belong on a beach either, because that tablecloth is also a beach. Yeah, so what's transformed? What's turning something familiar into something unusual or disturbing? Yeah, the face or the dog, both of them. The dog is transformed because of how big it is. The collar is, both a bridge and a collar on the dog. Yep, all of that. I'm going to scoot on to the next one. These are also both by Dali. This is a painting called Mae West. Mae West was a famous actress, kind of like someone like Marilyn Monroe or maybe Beyonce now. Someone that every guy wanted to be with and every girl wanted to be. But this is not flattering. It is not flattering to draw someone that you want to date in as a room. Okay, so this is simultaneously a portrait of Mae West and a room. Okay, so right now we're in the hallway. Okay, looking into this room. If we walk in, we walk up the stairs that are her chin. Okay, her hair is the curtains in between the two spaces. Her nose is a double fireplace with a clock on top of it. And her eyes are also a different scene. So in the digital version, the eyes take over and you can't see what her eyes are, okay, as a room. But as a room, if you're actually standing in front of the work, you can see that you're like out on a boat and you're looking back at a cityscape, a city skyline. At night, and so you see the reflection, you see the buildings, and then you see the reflection down onto the water. So these lines coming out are the reflections of the buildings down onto the water, and then these lines coming up are the buildings themselves. But in the digital version, the eyes really take over. The lips down here, this is like a big couch size ottoman, like that you could sit on. Yeah, so I think Tori is saying, yeah, for dislocation, the face doesn't belong made into a room at all, right? Also, dislocation, the face and the room don't go together. I mean, juxtaposition, the face and the room don't go together. Okay, and transformation, it's the same evidence, but used 3 different ways. Great. What about the elephants? Now, this painting is one of the ones that I like the best by Dali, but it's also one that it makes me very angry. Okay. Can anyone take a look and guess why this would make me very angry? Oh, I think the elephants are super cool. Those like creepy spider legs are just awesome. But good guess. Because that could never work. So it's totally nailing it right away. This right here is what annoys me. What you're looking at there is a dumb house. It's not only a simple dumb house, it has a smiley face on it. Just like that. Okay, that's, oh my God, so annoying. So in the video that you'll see of Dali on Wednesday, you'll see that he could have possibly done this on purpose. Okay, just to make people wonder why, just to make people like me get annoyed. Okay, he could also have had one of his kids could have come in and like wrecked his painting, and he thought it was funny and just left it. Okay. Did your siblings ever ruin your stuff? My brother would come in and draw on my stuff all the time, and it's super annoying. So again, it could be that Dali did this entirely on his own because he thought it would be funny. It could also be that one of his kids did it and he just left it. Okay. What on this painting is dislocated? What's where it shouldn't be? Yeah, the elephants. What part of the elephants are dislocated? Or just the fact that they're there? Yeah, the legs are dislocated. What about, and I would say the house is dislocated. That does not belong there at all. There's a beautiful gradient background, super creepy spider leg, elephants, and then you've got that dumb house. Okay. What is transformed? What's transformed from something familiar into something unusual or disturbing? Yep, the elephants again. Yep, and the things on top of the floating on top of the elephants are also, you could say they're transformed because they're floating. You could say that they're dislocated because they don't belong floating on top of the elephants, juxtaposed because they don't belong with the elephants. Yep. Okay, so good job. Let me see how I can get this to go. I'm going to go over that in just a second. I'm not sure why it's not letting me move on. Oh, maybe it's done. So I'm going to go back to here and talk to you about the assignment. Okay. So you should have an example of juxtaposition, dislocation, or transformation under each one of these. Otherwise, and I apologize, I must not have spell checked this stuff before I put it up there. So your assignment then, once you have these 5 answered, your assignment is down here. You're going to create a surrealist drawing or painting or sculpture, okay, on one of these 2 topics. Both of them is surreal. You know, you're always creating a surreal scene, no matter which one you choose, or a surreal sculpture. My goodness, my typing was bad that day. So the first option is just like Stranger Things. You can create a reflection where it is showing like no, that's not a very good one. Right here. See how it's like the real world? They've got these kids on their bicycles, and then the upside down is more evil space. Here's one. It's not quite the one that I was looking for, but it'll get the point across. Where they've got the kids riding their bikes up here, and then here is the reflection, the opposite, and it's a more sinister opposite. Okay. Oh shoot, we're running out of time. So you could create that reflection. Now, if you wanted to start out with the realistic side being cartoony, then you'd probably have to go more like disturbing and science fiction at the end. Okay. The other option then is to create a background, a place for one of the monsters from the Monsterland exercise we did last week. So you would have to put that monster into a realistic setting, okay, to make it surreal. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Send me some emails. Get your makeup work done. I will see you Wednesday.